So, this is the presentation for Team H in SER 315, and for our project we wanted to design an online education portal for students and faculty members.
Basic project background. For this project, our team has chosen the education application for both students and faculty. And the goal of this application is to provide two interfaces, one for students and one for teachers. The student interface will allow students to learn class material, manage study materials, and connect to both other students and faculty. The faculty interface will allow the staff in charge of classes to manage the teaching materials, to contact students, and to be easily and readily available to edit the course as they see fit. We hope the application will be intuitive and customizable so that any student or any professor or aide will be able to use it with ease. The student portal. The focus here is gathering everything that a student could need to take a class in one spot. We have on the left side the navigation. It provides links, quick shortcuts to things that the student would use, like lectures, notes, the ability to import notes or export notes, even contacting professors and classmates. The center will be loaded with whatever the student selects on the left-hand side. As you can see now, lectures is loaded up. On the far right side, we want to implement the ability for the student to take notes in the middle of this application. So there's no switching back and forth to different applications. On the bottom right, we can see a chat, a basic chat going between this student and other students. Some feedback we got from friends, family, coworkers was that we would like to see the windows customizable, movable even. Another one was to link the notes with the lectures. Another one was multiple chat support for multiple students and or groups. Here is the faculty portal. The faculty portal has the ability, in the same way, for the staff to manage what goes on. They have links to lectures, to communicate, to roster with chat rooms. Over here in the middle is the editing portion of the portal, where they can edit whatever they like. They can add videos, edit them, crop them, links, everything they'd like, even files if they need it, attach PDFs. On the bottom right, we also see a chat room. This chat can be with students and or teachers. Some feedback we got on this one was with the permission of students to allow the staff to manipulate the portals of students. Pretty much live tutorials if the student needs it. Also, the ability for professors to communicate and collaborate with other professors. The last one we got here was the last feedback we got here was allow students to actually be alerted immediately of changes or to save changes and submit so that all students can see what is going on.
Currently, our group is coming to a close on the first major iteration for this project. Throughout iteration 1, there has been sub-iterations that have occurred within the initial setup phase. These sub-iterations served as an internal way of drilling down the information and ideas that the groups wanted before releasing that information for outsider opinion. For each sub-iteration, the group member would turn in his work and allow the other group members to view this material, and collaboratively we would be able to modify anything that we needed to in order to package the information just right before we release all that information for the outsider's opinion. Iteration 1 has weighed heavily on learning how to design and formalize requirements. That came in the form of designing and formalizing requirements for the personas as well as the prototypes, which were primarily sketch-based in this first iteration. As far as a solution design, this group with the first iteration is moving in the right direction, but the finalized solution will come as further iterations are completed. There has been many techniques from the class material that has helped with completing this first iteration. One of the most important ones being goal-oriented design for personas. When you have goal-oriented design for a persona, it really humanizes the user as opposed to just listing the user requirements. You give this person a backstory, you give them goals that they want to accomplish while using your application, and that really helps with getting the design down and getting the requirements down for the user moving forward within the design process. Another important technique was the prototype process, and this came in the form of sketches, which we have initially done, And as further iterations are completed, there's going to be a click-through design that'll show how the application flow will go and how the users will interact with the system.
So next, I'm going to talk about how our project has conformed to the user-centered design process. And as you can see in this picture to the right, there are 5 steps laid out, which I'm going to go into further detail. So for the first step being planning the human-centered design process. So here we laid out our project description, and that's where our plan was to bring together the learning management system with the media content system so that it delivers a more cohesive learning environment, with our target audience being students and faculty members. Then we laid out our project focus, which stated all of our team members, and then how we would go through multiple iterations with the user-centered design. And then here's a link to if you would like to see in full detail what that plan was. For the second step was specifying the context of use. So we first created personas, our first persona being the student, Stanley Garner. He's a 20-year-old student, very fascinated with technology, struggles with learning at times, but he's a very visual learner. Our second was the faculty member, Mark Stanton, 56-year-old professor. He's published many journal articles on the latest technology and finds the balance between research and teaching can be very challenging. Our user goals was to have a central hub to manage classes and interact with peers, and a simple interface for material to be uploaded and viewed. So for the third step of the UCD, that was to specify user and business requirements. So for business requirements, we wanted the students to be able to view all of the material in just one location. And then for faculty members, we wanted them to be able to post supplemental material and monitor chat rooms or questions that maybe students may have. And for user requirements, we wanted the students to be able to take notes, chat, save notes directly from that portal, and faculty can upload various files and moderate chat rooms. And then for the fourth step, that was to produce design solutions, and as you can see, the student portal and the faculty portal sketches that we came up with, which leads us into our fifth step of evaluating the designs against user requirements. So maybe where we could see this going in the next iteration, the big one was customizing the windows. So maybe in the upper right corner, having the ability to pop out the window so it's the only focus, or maybe the ability to click and drag that window to move them around. Another one was maybe resizing the windows if you still want them all in one central location. When the user moves over the line, they can click and drag to move that. Or maybe in the chat window, to the ability to chat with multiple students, just have their names at the very bottom. You click on that, open up that chat. Another customization was to be able to customize the sections underneath the class. So maybe you want your lectures at the very top because that's your favorite section, and maybe textbook at the bottom because you access that once at the beginning of the semester. Some suggestions for the faculty portal was the ability for the professor to help the student by remotely accessing their web browser. So maybe in the chat section having a button for them to click on for that. Another suggestion was the embed video was a little unclear. So just refining the upload center, maybe just having one button to upload, or just a text area for them to input text.
The team has completed the first UCD iteration. The team feels like the schedule is not exact science, but an extraction of instructor-provided sample timelines, project deliverables through assignments, and background information provided within the reading materials. At the beginning of the iteration, the team feels like we're a bit behind schedule, but towards the end of the week, we feel like we've progressed well and we're close to being on schedule. The team has identified 2 major risks that may impact productivity and schedule. The 2 risks are resource coordination and organization of project tasks. Task scheduling across various team members is always tricky. This is especially true with differing schedules. Our planned resolution for this risk are to come up with a task plan as early on in the cycle as possible and to be flexible and adaptive while making key decisions promptly and always be ready for change. For organization, each iteration involves a few dependencies, with some dependencies on outside resources. Our resolution is to evaluate deliverables for the entire cycle and identify dependencies. This really helps us set priorities. In addition, we have ratcheted up communication between all team members. Finally, we have been leveraging the project team site heavily for information sharing and collaboration. Our expectation for next iteration is that we'll have personas and requirements finalized, and we also expect to have key screens fully sketched out. We also expect to have the 2 sets of application flows for students and faculty mostly defined. All this should be wrapped up with the wireframes with the page flows hooked up.